coming right back. All right, this is our regularly scheduled meeting of the Infrastructure Committee, and at the table, we have committee members Leonard, Dean, and myself, and Councilor Hawes and Councilor Fournier are going to be joining us. We also have Council Chair Pelletier and Councilor Fish. And we're going to start with Aaron Hootery and the Maine Audubon Community Conservation Horticultural Collaboration Inflation Reduction Act Urban and Community Forestry Project Canopy Grant.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Aaron Hootery, Public Works Director. We met with Maine Audubon early this year. They were applying for a $200,000 grant through that Inflation Reduction Act Urban and Community Forestry Grant Program administered by Project Canopy through the Maine Forest Service. And their goal was to establish a community conservation horticulture program that supported municipalities around the state, looking at 4 different locations if they got the grant and if everything worked out. Portland, Auburn, Bangor, and then Washington Academy. And the goal was to create a program where nurseries are set up, native trees are grown, and students are involved. And all those really seem to fit well into what we were doing already. So we said, Tracy and I and our forester, Ben Aruda, met with them and said, that sounds great. Let's see where this takes us. So we did recently learn that they were awarded the grant and they're moving forward with their community conservation horticulture program. If the city of Bangor were to participate in this program, that would include, they would provide funding for the development of a site plan, which right now we just took a chunk of property and started cleaning it up to turn into a nursery. We haven't done it at that point, although we do have a few trees in there. So development of a site plan by a professional, installation of fencing to keep deer out, because what little we did plant in there got eaten up by deer pretty fast. Some irrigation infrastructure, which is something we were really struggling with over there. Soil amendments, seedlings, and then a really important part, labor from local area students. We've already spoken with Bangor High School, United Technology Center, and some initial conversation with Wabanaki regarding their youth group. I think it's called WISE, Students in Science. And then an Audubon employee to oversee these students so that additional municipal staff aren't tied up with the whole thing. Not that we wouldn't be involved, but so obviously we know that trees provide a huge value to the city, and joining in on this community conservation horticulture program will benefit us by allowing us to develop seed stock, which is really inexpensive, into plantable size trees, what we need for the street. So it could really stretch our budgets a lot more. Planting native trees, which is our goal. We're really trying to get rid of some of these non-native species that we've been planting, or get away from them. And then most importantly, in my mind, is opening pathways for those local students to participate in planning and executing a horticulture program, tree growth strategies in the city, developing those that hands-on knowledge of horticulture, and then hopefully guiding them towards careers in municipal service. So there's a lot to be gained from this. Staff is recommending that the Infrastructure Committee approve the city manager to enter into a partnership with the Maine Audubon, accepting a donation of services and supplies up to $50,000. It's really not defined yet. We don't have they're not granting us the money. It will be paid out by them as this moves along. So we don't really have anything other than this kind of agreement to move forward with this. And that's what we're looking for, is an agreement from the Infrastructure Committee to continue to pursue this partnership.
I would entertain a motion.
I would move staff recommendation.
Second.
Any comments or questions? My only comment is I think it's great. I think it's great you're including students. I don't know if you've talked to John Baps, but that'd be another organization to maybe they have a big environmental club and some really great biology teachers and things like that might be interested in having some of that hands-on experience as well. But I love it when we can bring students into the municipality, and this sounds great. So seeing no doubts, that has passage. The next item is more trees, accept donation of 26 trees from Bangor Beautiful.
So this was originally written before trees were planted. So full disclosure, at this point, 26 trees have been planted.
Oh,
Take them back.
The timing was just unfortunate. So Bangor Beautiful did approach the city, the Public Works Department with an offer of a donation of 26 trees. Bangor Beautiful, as you will remember, has done this up here at, I guess now, Central and Center and Park Street, and then up at Union in Ohio. Really good work that we're seeing from them. They are a charitable tax exempt organization dedicated to making the community more beautiful place to live through public art, trees, gardens, and other beautification efforts. These trees are where the Public Works Department really interfaces with Bangor Beautiful, and we really like what they have brought to the city. This time they did go with some smaller trees. You'll see some lower price points on here, and that was an effort to stretch that donation dollar that they have gathered. These are at the intersection of Washington Street and Oak Street. This is where you come across the bridge, you see the Welcome Bangor sign, which they just recently refreshed. It's a big parking lot, you know what I mean? And nothing against parking lots, they're necessary, but it really doesn't have that nice visual impact that we want for a Tree City USA. So yeah, coming across the Bangor Penobscot Bridge from Brewer, Bangor Beautiful organized the volunteers to plant the trees as they always do. We did have supervision there. I dug a hole myself and unfortunately ran into pure pavement about 8 inches down and had to dig a hole through asphalt to get down to where it needed to be. So there was some challenging conditions there, but I think this is really going to be a positive impact. They also removed a lot of invasive species down on the wall below the bridge and planted some native trees down there up against the wall. This is an appropriate and welcome addition to the Bangor public tree inventory. This did include removal of some asphalt. It is a big parking lot. It appears the asphalt went over maybe a little more than it needed to, so there was a really narrow esplanade as you're coming from Brewer and turning right into that Oak Street address. So that has been widened out considerably. No overhead obstructions. So we're able to plant some canopy trees there, which will really look nice as those grow up. Staff recommends that the infrastructure committee retroactively accept this donation of $2,262.37 plus labor from Bangor Beautiful.
entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing no doubt, you do not have to go dig up all those trees. One thing I will add, since I think this is it for trees, is that in my neighborhood, they were saying that there's just white flags in front of my house and it has my address and 2 people's names. I don't know who they are. So Acer Freeman and Autumn Blaze are not people. It is the name of a tree. So if you are out there and then have and it's the Acer Freeman Autumn Blaze, which I said, to be fair, it sounds like it could be
Yep.
2 people. So, so anyway, so people are now excited to see the trees that were lost in previous storms and stuff are getting replaced. So I just thought I'd slide that in on the tree conversation.
We did, I think, 72 trees between last week and this week. We've just been waiting for the fall rains to start. It's been so dry.
Yeah.
So yeah, our fall planning has been really productive as well.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right, so the next item is a Ford warranty provider agreement and field service provider agreement.
So recently, and this isn't a new problem, we've been dealing with Ford service issues, warranty service issues for quite some time, and it's just a matter of capacity with a local Ford dealer. So we were seeing some significant delays. This mostly affects our police vehicles, which can run, slip seating, multiple shift, or be running 24 hours a day because of the multiple shifts. Talking about the delays with the local dealer, a suggestion was made that we could become a licensed facility to perform warranty work right at our own shop and not have to have that sitting over there. We did meet with a National Ford Motor Company representative and determined pretty quickly that we could meet the requirements of the warranty service provider agreement and the field service provider operating agreement. Because we're not lawyers, we did send those agreements to our city solicitor, David Sevchek, had our finance director, David Little, and our safety and environmental manager, Ryan Cool, take a look at those. We did receive some feedback. We sent it back to Ford thinking, okay, this is a big outfit. They're not going to change their contracts. They did. And what they did is just changed it up so that it kind of protects our interests while still serving their needs. And, that's the point there. So we will have to invest in diagnostic and training software. This is part of our annual budget anyway, to invest in software and training. No additional equipment needs to be purchased to comply with the agreement. No additional costs are anticipated. The maintenance work will be performed by our techs, and that we will receive payment from Ford Motor Company for time and parts. Did get a chance to speak with someone at PD who manages their maintenance, getting things rotated out and scheduling and all that. And overwhelmingly positive feedback, because apparently this has been a problem for years. And he's hoping that being able to prioritize in-house is going to make a big difference in the return of that. And I believe he's absolutely correct. So staff does request approval to enter into a warranty service provider agreement and a field service provider operating agreement in order to provide more efficient and speedy service to vehicles owned by various departments in the city of Bangor.
I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Any comments or questions on this one? All right, that has passage.
Like you had something to say.
I can if you want.
Now the Hamden Snow Dump Quick Claim Deed with Covenant.
Yes, so a couple months ago, the town of Hamden approached the city to discuss some sewer infrastructure upgrades they need to make on the Marina Road in Hamden, which is adjacent our licensed snow dump out there. The original discussion didn't involve a request for an easement to the town of Hamden. In reviewing the project, staff felt it was more appropriate to deed the property in question to the town of Hamden. So the area in question, it has a public road running down the center of it, yet it's on city of Bangor property. It's an odd situation. It contains a bridge over Sucker Brook that requires significant maintenance because of the erosion that comes down through there around that corner. And the town of Hamden has been doing that work, but they approached me very early on when I took this position and said, hey, you've got to come over and fix your bridge. And I said, it's a public road, that's your bridge, I'm not dealing with it. Unfortunately, they dealt with it. They do need to install a new force main. The sewer pumps that are there, the sewer pipes underneath Sucker Brook and the force main would all be their property on our property. So I think deeding the property in question to the town of Hamden would protect the city of Bangor from potential future liabilities here. It's about 0.84 acres. Looks like the map is not included or
It's in the-
it was,
is.
okay.
Yeah.
So the shaded area on the map, you can see that it's right along the edge of the road, including the bridge. As after you go across the bridge, it does jet out a little bit, and that's where they're putting that force main in. The deed, I did request that the deed includes a permanent easement to the city of Bangor property to access that existing snow dump so that we couldn't be locked out of our own property. So staff does recommend that the infrastructure committee approve this to move forward to city council so that the city manager can deed the land to the town of Hamden at no cost.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Sounds like it makes sense. And now we're on to the MRC update.
So we did not have our tour of the MWS facility. My apologies. But I did want to give an update because we haven't talked about it since June. Or July. So anyways, just to recap, the MRC is an organization formed in 1991. It currently represents 115 member communities to secure affordable, long-term environmentally sound disposal of municipal solid waste. It's managed by a board of 9 directors made up of members serving from the 115 communities. And they serve at large, not representing just their town. Combined waste volume is around 100,000 tons annually. There is one employee, the MRC Executive Director, Michael Carroll. He also sits as one of 3 people on the MWS Board of Directors to guide the reopening of the plant as a voting member. So they're currently undergoing a retrofit to allow more efficient processing of waste. I thought the best way to approach this, there have been a lot of questions lately, and I thought maybe just laying out those questions and then answering them might answer what you guys want to hear about. So the first one was a big one. What's the backup plan if the facility fails? And, a backup plan is an important part of any venture. What do I do if this goes wrong? Unfortunately, in this one, to build a backup plan to 100,000 tons of waste is really a tough one to do because of the cost to process that much waste. So Innovative, who has now 90% ownership in the facility, doesn't have enough money to run parallel options at the same time. And honestly, the municipalities have no interest in footing that second option as well. So we are all in on this. Having the executive director of MRC on the MWS board as a voting member really allows us to have the ability to direct the efforts of the reopening much more than we did when Fiberite was here, when it was wholly owned and managed by Fiberite and their bondholders. So it's a much different situation. Second question, are taxpayer funds paying for this facility and the 22 million invested in the reopening? So the MRC receives money through the tip fees, and that money was used to keep the building safe, I guess, from failing. Didn't let things freeze up during the period of closure. Taxpayer money was not diverted from municipal budgets to help keep that facility open. When the sale of 90% ownership went to Innovative, they recouped the money that they spent on that facility maintenance during that time. So MRC was made whole. MRC is funded by the waste, the tipping fee. No municipal funds went into that. As for the reopening, Innovative is paying for 100% of the investment in the anaerobic digesters, the upgrades to the front end where they're going to be doing that initial sort of the trash as it comes in. And there is no money being paid by municipalities for that upgrade process. And if anyone has questions, instead of waiting again, just jump right in too. Okay. Did MRC or Innovative receive 45 million funding from the Finance Authority of Maine or FAME? No, any money that was issued by FAME was given to Fiberite and or the original bondholders. MRC received none of that. Innovative received none of that. Innovative hasn't applied for any FAME money at this point. Not saying that they wouldn't, but their funding has, as I said, completely come from their backers, White Oak Advisor Group, Global Advisors. Is there oversight of the MRC financials? Yes, the MRC spending is reviewed and approved by the board members. So all 9 directors review that. And we also have CPA auditing done on our financials. So there's the documents are publicly available. Finance committee and board meetings are all publicly broadcast. So anyone can see what is being spent and where it's going. Question was raised, why is Innovative still designing the plant when the design was finished years ago? So this is a big one, and I'm not sure that everybody understands. So Fiberite had a vision of creating fiber. That was a big part of it. So initially they were going to pull the commodity, easily separated commodities from the waste. That's the same thing that Innovative will do. The low-hanging fruit, pull that out during that sorting process. Then they were going to take that wet cardboard and make pulp out of it, cardboard and paper. They were going to take the plastic and make briquettes that could be burned in a lime kiln. And then they were going to generate renewable natural gas through anaerobic digestion. And these are known technologies, but they'd never been put together like this before. And I think that was where a lot of the trepidation came from. When Innovative came in, they saw that number one, the front end that breaks open the trash and sorts, it really wasn't all that efficient. While it was state of the art when it was built, it's changing so fast that sorting technology is changing so fast, it was already out of date. the fiber, once they did start producing it, they realized that that could not be used in paper mills or anything that might touch food. Because of the origin, which they hadn't planned on, and those briquettes created a fuel suitable for burning in lime kilns, but the plan was to sell it to Dragon Cement, and they're no longer cooking lime, so that really moved those two things off the table. And then the last thing, the anaerobic digester really worked well, but it was way too small to take advantage of the organic fraction of the waste that we have. So they came in looking at it like a business and said, okay, we need to maximize what we're doing, make it more efficient and take advantage of that organic fraction. They did visit facilities in Toronto and in Italy. Toronto has a facility that takes food and organic waste that has already been separated from the waste stream. Italy does dirty waste like us, just taking trash bags, ripping them open and sorting it out. So they've seen these facilities that are taking municipal waste and processing it just like we want to do, and they're doing it successfully, and they've been doing it for years, and they're modeling their plan after that. And this natural gas that's going to be produced out of the anaerobic digester will be pumped straight into the Bangor gas pipeline that runs right on the property. Did our trash disposal costs increase because of the Hamden facility? So a little background, the disposal of municipal waste has two different costs, and one of them is to pick up and transport. You need somebody to pick up that trash at each house and then transport it to wherever it is going for processing. The second one is the actual disposal fee or the tipping fee. The pickup of waste was contracted in 2020 through a competitive bid process. Our current contractor proposed a side load model that would reduce our costs around $30,000 a year. That's proven out to save us that much, or actually a little bit more each year. So not only did it reduce our costs and the cost of taxpayers, but also reduced the need of that person to be on the back of that truck in all kinds of weather, 52 weeks a year. So really an improvement there on that first part of the process. The other piece of this that we haven't, go ahead.
Gonna go back to the briquettes.
Yeah.
So where's that?
The briquettes are not being made, the machinery is
So
still
where's that
there at
going?
this point.
Or potentially going?
The plastic,
Yeah,
yeah, so the easily recyclable plastic, which is a tiny portion, will be pulled out and sold as a commodity. But the vast majority of it will end up as landfill. Yeah, there is no use for that. The fiber portion that would have gone through and be made into pulp, that will go through the plug digester, the anaerobic digester. So there will be some value received from that.
so how much of a percentage of that plastic going to landfill?
I don't have that number. What percentage of I think it's a small fraction, but it's a painful fraction because it jams up everybody's equipment. I know everybody from EcoMaine to PERC to us struggle with that because it just winds up into everything. For those plastic bags, which the plastic bags were what was really targeted for the briquetter. The rest of the plastic, the vast majority of plastic really isn't recyclable. And yeah, we'll see where that takes us. Yeah. So where was I here? So we also noticed that our trash volumes were increasing in Bangor quite a bit before we went to this side load model. And what we discovered is that as towns around us went to the pay-as-you-go model and people had to start paying to dispose of their trash, our trash volumes went up because people didn't pay by the bag and people were allowing their friends and family to bring. We surmised that people were allowing family and friends to bring trash to Bangor to get rid of it at no cost. But it did cost us money. When we went to these 96-gallon containers, our trash volumes actually dropped back down to where they were prior to, or very near to where prior to kind of that increase as we saw towns around us. So that was another win, I believe. The model now, everybody gets a 96-gallon container, and if you produce more trash, then you can rent an additional container. That container pays for just the tip fee, not the addition, not the tip. The pickup fee, it doesn't cover the tip fee. That additional waste is tipping or throwing away fee is for, or is paid for through the taxes. But that truck to come around and pick up that additional can is $260 or $259.99 a year, and we charge residents $260 a year. So we make a penny profit per year per container for what it's worth. And I feel it's more equitable. You create more trash, you pay a little more to dispose of it.
I just want to echo that, because that's one that, we hear about a lot, and if you have a big family, you don't get a cheaper water bill, you don't get a cheaper electricity bill, you don't get a cheaper grocery bill. So if you're creating more waste, you're gonna pay more to dispose of that, and the $260 is not, you're not buying a can, you're paying to serve the amount of volume and waste that you create in your home. And my house is family of four, manages with their 96 gallons just fine. Once in a while, a neighbor will throw something in on ours. And just so that when people hear that, it's not a money-making scheme. If you're creating that much waste, you're gonna have to pay to dispose of it.
We had a new resident call us today and asked how they were gonna be billed for their trash pickup, and we told them that was part of their tax base. And what do you mean? You're not gonna charge me to pick up that full container every week? Thank you.
Yeah,
Very
a
appreciative.
lot of cities, it is or you have to hire a private trash contractor to come pick up
Right.
your trash, or you're putting it in the back of your car and driving into the dump.
To the dump, yeah.
And I always joke that, oh, like I go to a college, oh, the laundry's free, and I always would elbow my daughter, and be like, it's not free. It's included with tuition, so no, we don't have free trash pickup, it's
Yeah.
included in your taxes, and it's appreciated that the 96 gallons goes with what we pay in taxes.
Good, thank you. So yeah, that tipping fee has nothing to do with the roadside pickup service, as has been suggested. The MRC negotiates the tip fee based on the total tonnage from all 115 communities. And that larger volume really gives them more leverage in negotiations than any single community could do. So, all MRC members, including the city of Bangor, pay lower than market rate for disposal of that waste. Our local residents and businesses paying more for their trash disposal to support the Hamden facility. And as I explained above, we're not paying more. Residents are not paying more to dispose of their waste to support that facility in Hamden. Businesses I can't speak to, each business contracts for their own waste disposal. That's not part of the service the city provides. Next question, would residents be paying less for waste disposal if they had stayed with PERC? In 2017, PERC announced that they would no longer be able to honor their then current tip rate due to the ending of the contract with, then it was Bangor Hydro. They had a contract to sell their energy at higher than market rates, and that was lucrative for PERC, but that was coming to an end. Bangor Hydro had no interest in paying more for energy from them than they did from anyone else. And so they said that rates were going to be going up at the end of that contract. Is that more or less? I don't, without a crystal ball to be able to see what may have happened, it's hard to tell. But without that loss of, or with that loss of the artificially high revenue stream, chances were that everyone was going to be paying significantly more. Were the DEP permits modified as part of the change in ownership? Yes, they were changed to say that Fiberite is no longer the permit holder now. MRC and Innovative are the permit holders with the main DEP. Is solid waste from the city of Bangor causing the Juniper Ridge landfill to fill up earlier than expected? And this is a big one. We hear this a lot. Because we're not burning our trash at PERC, now the landfill's filling up at Juniper Ridge faster than it should. So we have a contract with Crossroads. All MRC communities have a contract to send their waste to Crossroads in Norwich Walk. And when our Bangor trash goes to Juniper Ridge, it's because they've made an agreement between Casella and Waste Management to take a truck that's closer. Casella trucks will go in there and our trucks will. At the end of the day, the same amount of waste is going that we had agreed to give to Crossroads is going to Crossroads. It's just not our waste. A closer truck did that in order to save fuel and to have lower emissions, environmental emissions. So the waste that's going to Juniper Ridge is what was contracted to go to Juniper Ridge. It is not being burned, but we did not want to continue to burn trash and send those emissions into the atmosphere. So yeah, that's a little tough one. That waste swap, it can be a little tough to understand, but the important thing is at the end of the day, it's all going where the volumes are going where they're supposed to be. Is it appropriate for someone with early knowledge of the Fiberite facility to assume they know how the MWS facility will operate upon reopening? And as I've said, the Fiberite design is far removed from the current reopening plan. Without the fiber, without the briquettes, and with a vastly expanded anaerobic digestion process, it just isn't the same. And where you could not find another facility in the world that was doing what Fiberite was trying to do, you can find facilities doing what we are reopening it to do right now. And it's proven technology and it works. And it's easily reduces waste volume by 50%. And we're really targeting much higher than that. And then the last one, I've heard the word boondoggle thrown around quite a bit. Is the MWS facility in Hampden a boondoggle? I actually went and looked up the definition of boondoggle just to make sure I knew what I was talking about here. I can't say that even Fiberite, through their struggles, were necessarily that it was necessarily a boondoggle. I think there was an effort, there was a vision and an effort to bring that vision to fruition. It just doesn't fit what we're doing right now. And what Innovative is doing is investing good money to get this facility up and opened, processing waste in a manner that is proven in other facilities. And that is going to provide a huge value to residents and to the state of Maine. There is nobody. We talked with EcoMaine, we talked with Casella about different ways to recycle and hit that 50% goal. They're just not doing it. They can't, there's just nothing in place right now that allows a municipality to hit that goal. Unless somehow you got every resident somehow mandated to separate, source separate, which they cannot, they have not found a municipality that does that yet. This is going to get us where we need to be. And I believe it will be a model that is replicated in other places. This is not a boondoggle. This is not a con job. There's no corruption. And I hope that people remember all the struggles that PERC went through when they were trying to reopen, and they almost folded because they just couldn't get themselves up and going. And the MRC communities bailed them out. That's why the MRC became part owners in the facility for so long. New businesses do struggle to get up and going, but if we don't do anything, we're going to be in a lot worse shape than we are now. So I cannot make this match the definition of a boondoggle. Long answer to that easy question. So I will continue to give updates to the infrastructure committee on a quarterly basis, just to keep you guys involved. I'd love to get everyone over there for a facility tour. I know it's not easy to get everybody's schedules together, but it is an impressive facility, and the amount of effort that Innovative is putting into making sure that this is reopened right is impressive. And to talk with James Candela, the CEO, and Gary, the COO, these people have a ton of experience in processing waste and opening up unloved properties and getting them back on track. So I feel like we've finally hit, after so many roadblocks, we've finally hit on the right combination to make this happen and benefit not only the city of Bangor, but all 115 communities.
I genuinely think one of my first infrastructure committee meetings was with Fiberite. Like, I remember
Yeah.
Councilor Graham being there, and that was my first year. So, and I think it was right when I first started. So as this is my last infrastructure committee, thank you very much. We're getting closer. It was running then, but then it shut down, everything happened. But and also just thank you for your service to the city. And I have chaired infrastructure for several years over here and there, because it's my favorite. I love this stuff, so I love trash and maps and utilities and trees and all of that, but thank you for your service to the city, and I'm gonna remember your email when I have questions, even though I won't be a counselor, and I hope
Please
that
do.
you will answer me.
Please do.
Anyway, you've always been very approachable, I think, to any citizen, so so thank you very much for your service. So up next, we have Jefferson Davis is gonna get us with some easements, some DOT stuff, bridges. First one is a utility easement for Versant Power off Main Avenue.
Hello. All right, so my first one, which you just said, is agenda item number 6. It is for utility easement for Versant Power. Off Main Avenue, and there is a little map associated with that. You can see it just east of the roundabout. This location is actually part of the VIA's parking lot project. So it's just an easement through Versant for 5 poles and the anchors and the wires. And it is to maintain, erect, and the 5 poles. Sorry, I just lost my paragraph I was gonna read here because I'm on the wrong page. That makes sense, all right. So this does have some conditions, which, as you can see in the order, says the city of Bangor would agree that it will not erect or maintain a permit the erection of or maintenance of any building, trailer, mobile home, swimming pool, or other structure of any kind of nature within 15 feet of said line. So that means, yeah, the easement would be 15 feet each side, the total width of 30 feet. Again, there is a map associated with it. You can see the 5 poles with it's a white dot with a red outline. Then it's roughly 600 feet. So our staff recommends approval for that.
And we have no plans to put a pool in there
I don't
for
think so.
public works. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, that has passage. The next item is an MDOT overweight construction vehicles for the US 202 I-395 bridge deck replacement.
Yep, so this is for, again, overweight construction vehicles. This project does not have a time frame right now, but they do send this stuff out pretty early. Again, it's for the 395 bridge project. And there is a bunch of special provisions that they include with it. It's all in the attachment. They also have some frequently asked questions, like number 1 is why sign this document in advance of the actual contract? And they give some primary reasons, which pretty much boils down to just getting out in front and making sure that the city management and counselors can review the permit and so it's not a rush when they start construction. They do think that this project will start in 2025 and be completed in 2027. I did look up the weight limits for vehicles right now if anybody's interested, because it actually doesn't state it in the permit. Right now, a 2-axle vehicle is 34,000 pounds. A 3-axle vehicle is 54,000 pounds. 4-axle vehicle, 69,000 pounds, and 5-axle, 80,000 pounds. So I did not know that before I read that. So again, this one actually, I think is the utility easement with Versant, which I didn't mention, is signed by city manager. This one actually has room for all municipal officials, so.
Okay,
But that won't happen until there's actual project,
all right.
so,
Need a motion on that one?
yes, yep.
I would entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? All right, that has passage. The next is sidewalks, another one of my favorite things, the Bax Urban Partnership Grant Application for sidewalks from Hammond Street to Texas Avenue.
Yeah, so this is actually a resolve. Sorry, for the Bax Urban Partnership Initiative Grant, which is fairly new for Bax. This is for available funds are for member urban partnership initiative. So you have to be part of the MPOs, which are four in the state, and Bax is one of them. So they have roughly $3 million a year in state funding, split among the four MPOs. For Bax, Bangor was the only one to actually submit an application. So the timing wasn't great. This was new for Bax and new for us, so, I was called from Sarah, I got a call from Sarah Devlin saying, hey, next week we have some funding that needs to be submitted if you guys want it. So I went ahead and just applied on that Friday, Monday. And then, so that's why I'm here for the resolve, but it's for sidewalks on Main Avenue, from Hammond to Texas Avenue. It's roughly 4,000 linear feet. It'll be 6 foot wide, ADA accessible sidewalks, which means your cross slope isn't greater than 2%. And then, of course, we have all the detectable warnings at road crossings. This project, we would have to add, I think, around 650 linear feet of new concrete curb, and then do some drainage, a couple catch basins. So the project has a total estimate of 475,000. That includes construction and engineering. The grant application requested 237,500 of funding, with the remaining 237,500 to come from pedestrian safety improvements funds in FY 26.
So is that, going from like the traffic light at Hammond Street down towards the roundabout?
Yeah, so the sidewalk on Hammond Street kind of turns and goes up probably less than 100 feet.
Yeah.
So we would just tie onto that and then go all the way to Texas Ave. So opposite side of the airport.
Nice, okay.
So
great.
staff, this has been on staff's radar for a little while. We can continue to see pedestrians walking the road there from some of our most vulnerable
Yes,
pedestrians.
absolutely.
So,
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, that has passage. And then the last one, we have authorized the engineer to begin the process of discontinuing Davis Court and a portion of First Street.
So as you can see from the map that was provided, Davis Court is off Main Street near Railroad Street, and so all of Davis Court will be discontinued, and then First Street, we would be, I should have put a length on that, but it's roughly 127 linear feet from where it abuts Davis Court towards Barker Street.
Mhm.
This is for the process to begin with a Y. They're the ones that abut all the property around that. We do have some utilities that will be abandoned during this project. But this is to just allow the city engineer to begin the process of discontinuing it. So I would, if it gets approved, I would go forth with a public meeting with all the abutters, and then I would create an engineer's report and then bring it back.
Great, and just to let folks at home know, Councilor Fournier has been predetermined to have a conflict on this, so he has left the room. But I would entertain a motion on this.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Nice to see this moving forward. So that has approval.
Thank you.
That brings us to the end. And again, I would just like to say at my last meeting, the one of the things I love about the city engineering department is that I feel like you guys always find grants. And I'm always excited about grants. Grants is free money. And, you know, we have some big projects coming with some of those grants. I can't wait for the 14th Street one to be done,
Oh, yeah.
which we've talked about for years, and I won't be on council when it's finished, but I appreciate your hard work and the work of your predecessor, John Terrio, and finding us ways to make our city better at very low cost.
Yes, well, we have a
For the
lot of
taxpayer.
good contacts with DOT, and certainly Bax helps us tremendously with all that
Yeah.
stuff, so we're pretty
Yes.
lucky.
So anyway, thank you very much. And this meeting is adjourned. Stay tuned for business and economic development. Scratching it off. Scratching out. My